with often 30 to sometimes 90-minute queues and a 1-hour tour. Is the Japan Pavilion worth the time that is needed? This video is going to explore the Japan Pavilion so that you can make up your own mind. Good morning guys, I hope you're well. If you don't know who I am, my name's Tom Spokemore. I'm a teacher here in Dubai. The last few times I've been to Expo 2020, I've really struggled to get into the Japan Pavilion. It's one of the ones that has one of the longest queues. That's because they often operate a tour. That tour is a certain amount of time, but as a result, it results in lots of different queues and long waits. So I'm really hoping, I've turned up on a Monday, early in the morning, pretty much first thing, really hoping there's no queue to get in. One of the big tips that I would share is to try and make sure you use the smart queues, because otherwise it's going to be an absolute pain to get into the pavilion. So let's go and have a tour around, let's see what it's like. Let's go. You can see a few people already going to this pavilion here, the Japan Pavilion, straight away. Morning. Thank you. So you can see the tour is for 1 hour. After about 20 minutes of waiting in the queue, I picked up a pair of earphones. From there, I then tried to set them up. They were quite strange because they don't go directly into the ear, they go underneath, which was quite interesting. They give you a mobile phone and then they show you how to use the mobile phone. And then with that, you just set up some of your information, such as where you're from, your age, and other information like that. That took a little bit of time, but then as we were waiting, eventually, again after about another 10 minutes, we were then invited to go and watch a short presentation that tells you a little bit about what you're about to go and see within the Japan Pavilion. Your phone then flashes up a certain flower, which is important for the last stage of the pavilion. As you enter this section, it's really dark and steamy, as you'll be able to see. The first part is this string-like curtain that has a projection of all the different nature around Japan. That then turns into a little bit of music and further information about Japan too. You can see it all got a little bit weird and wonderful straight away. This is what the exterior looks like, and then this turns into these strange doorways, and then you're invited to go and choose a certain door, and then as you go through to that, it's just to create a little bit of spacing. As you enter through the doorway, you'll see that you're immediately greeted by these strange purple looking panels. Now initially I wasn't too sure where I needed to go. I looked at my phone and it made a note of where I'd been through along with where I could go. I found myself just sort of wandering around this area and then eventually realised that the panels again had a projection that was projected onto them. Depending on where you entered, a different projection was played. However, you could still walk around this area to go and have a look at all of the different projections that are being played. They played all sorts of different things on these projections, such as a little bit of information about the people of Japan, the history throughout time, and other information too about the culture. The next section was where things got really weird and wonderful, I suppose you'll say. This is a specialised Japanese art form where they turn real-life objects into art pieces, whether that's for sustainability or a little bit about the environment. You can see here a little bit about the anime. This was a specialised anime section with parts of real objects being turned into art. You can see just things got really random. Books that are turned into a school, which I find quite clever. This, well, yeah, a bread train. It's definitely interesting. And then further things such as cheese. And you've got planets. More things being turned into planets at this space section. If you're into art, I thought this would be quite interesting for you. Unfortunately, we did again spend quite a lot of time in this pavilion. If I was able to roam around this freely, I would have had a little look at each thing and then probably moved out of this section quite quickly, but we weren't allowed to do that. Afterwards, we were invited to go through a door, depending on what you were invited to go to. I was asked to go through the green one. That green one then took you to a certain section where you were asked to stand on a colour panel. And again, another projection is played about the impacts that we have on the planet. As you can see, not very good. From there, then we're invited into this huge globe type projection, which was quite fascinating. You're then asked to stand in a specific spot, and your flower shows up on the wall. Based on the choices and things that you've done within the pavilion, your actions are accounted for, and you'll see the information starts to string together, and you'll see what everyone else has chosen or interacted with, and it becomes this really cool statistical analysis. The avatar based on your flower then turns into a character, and that character is then able to follow you around the pavilion. So you'll see I was wandering around the pavilion along with other people who were also doing the same, and your little character follows you around, which was quite cool, I suppose. You can see more people here with their little characters, and then from there it started to morph even further. The pavilion finished with us all having a song and a dance. This again is where things got weird and wonderful, and all sorts of things were shown from the Japanese culture. And this was, I suppose, the last part where we celebrated together before giving the things back. That brings me to the end of the Japan Pavilion. Did you think it was worthwhile? For me personally, I usually end these worth it videos with usually a yes. But in this case, knowing the amount of time that is needed to visit this pavilion, with the queues, with the amount of time needed for the tour itself, I think you could spend your time better at Expo if you only have one day. If you're a resident like me and you have that chance to visit more than one time, yeah, go and explore it. If you're a Japan fanatic and you're still only doing one day and you're absolutely obsessed with the Japanese culture, obviously, yes, go and explore it. But if there are other pavilions available that you can just walk through and don't need to queue up, go and explore those. I'm going to make another video about all of my favourite pavilions here in Dubai Expo 2020, so feel free to go and check that out up there. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, feel free to do that. I've made a range of different Dubai Expo videos that I hope you can check out too. Feel free to like it, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Until then, I'm out.